What's up? Welcome back to another video. Today's video, I want to talk to you about the future of the CPU processor. Let's get into it. CPU processor. What is a CPU? The central processing unit. This is the brain of the computer. This is the thing that runs all the processes inside of it. The thing that runs the computer. The better the CPU, the faster your computer will run. That's just the reality of it. This is one of the crucial parts of a computer. And I feel like we're at a changing point. A point where a CPU will be make or break in a lot of things. Things such as video editing, content creation. Yes, a CPU will be very important to this. And for gaming as well, CPUs are very, very, very important. So, why am I talking about the future of the CPU? I'm talking about the future of the CPU because some very exciting developments are happening. Things such as quantum computing. This is where they get huge wafers of silicon and they put it all into a form factor that can run a computer. Things such as the modern consumer ARM processor. You've heard a lot about ARM CPUs in the last few weeks and months, mostly because of Apple and their transition away from Intel CPU processors.
Today we're going to tell you about some really big changes, how we're going to take the Mac to a whole new level. From the very beginning, the Mac redefined the entire computer industry. The Mac has always been about innovation and boldly pushing things forward, embracing big changes to stay at the forefront of personal computing. The Mac has had three major transitions in its history: the move to PowerPC, the transition to Mac OS X, and the move to Intel. And now it's time for a huge leap forward for the Mac. Because today is the day we're announcing that the Mac is transitioning to our own Apple Silicon.
And of course, there's always been ARM CPUs in your iPhone. But here's the deal. You can't really think about how much a CPU runs the computer when it comes to ARM. Because ARM means a lot more than just how fast is it. ARM is a fundamental change for the CPU. It represents a shift in priorities. Priorities that have been there since the very beginning. These priorities are: how fast is it? How powerful of a PSU or power supply will you need? And of course, can its form factor fit in your PC? Well, this is a lot of a fundamental change. For one, ARM CPUs are not designed to be interchangeable. At the moment anyways. You get the CPU built into the motherboard or the logic board on your smartphone, as they currently are. So that's why we fundamentally don't have that feature. We fundamentally have the feature of them being high power efficiency, so they can run on really, really low-end machines. We've seen this with the Surface Pro X, which debuted last year. And it did well, but there's more development that needs to be put in place for this CPU architecture to run. We're seeing a fundamental shift with costs because these CPUs are built in-house by the brand manufacturers. So this means it should essentially be cheaper to get an ARM CPU rather than go out and get an Intel or AMD CPU, which will be really good for the consumer base. And of course, for video editors and music editors and such, it'll be really good for you, because when you pick up a Dell machine or an Apple machine, you'll be able to pick out the CPU you want, and the power of a Mac Pro could be in the body of a 15-inch MacBook Pro. That's what the power of ARM has. Because when it comes to ARM and silicon in general, Apple and slow silicon processors, not really going together. They don't really chill out together. So that's why I think we have a big fundamental change incoming to the CPU. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, maybe consider subscribing. If you disliked it, you also know where the other button is. Comment down below, let me know what you think about the future of the CPU and we can have a conversation about it there. Or follow me on Twitter @CEO Regan. I'm Connor, your host, and I'll catch you next one.